Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the soon-to-be released Witches of Dathomir box. So let's jump into it. And as always, I'm joined by Aubrey. How you doing today, Aubrey?
Oh, I am ready to talk some Shatterpoint. I feel like I haven't played as many games this week. Apparently, my stepson decided homework was more important than playing Shatterpoint with me. I don't understand why, but uh, I'm ready to talk about this.
Yeah, we have to have a serious talk with him and get his priorities straight. Obviously, he has got his priorities in all of the wrong places, like trying to do homework and stuff. So just not acceptable. Not acceptable at all.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Ugh, terrible choice.
Yeah, I think for both you and I, we've both our only games that we've gotten in this week were both against each other. So had our like I like to call it our podcast staff meeting.
Yes, very official. It was entirely for the podcast. No
Exactly.
no fun to be had whatsoever.
None
Yeah.
whatsoever. It was all work, no play. Exactly.
Yeah. Uh, I'm happy though because I finally got to do some games. Finally let go of the clones and Obi-Wan for at least a couple of games. And Todd, I have to say, wow, felt like I've been playing on hard mode all this time. The Kalani just gives you an entire army all moved up, and it's you just have to draw his card. You don't have to pay a force for defensive maneuver. You don't have to hope and pray you get Rex on one of your first activations. You just move everyone. Who knew?
Who
Didn't know
knew?
it was that easy.
It's shocking. I know. I can't believe that no one's ever told you about that. That Kalani existed
Yeah.
and he was there to do some amazing things. It's like almost like the person that you did this podcast with never told you about that.
Yeah, no, I can't believe you didn't tell me, Todd. I have to give you credit though, and I know some of this is probably my lack of familiarity with them, but you did win that game, and it was you were on clones versus droids, right?
Yep.
So,
I just got
yeah.
lucky. I mean, it was Anakin being able to do Anakin things with Anakin attacking and then being able to I'm going to end this for the kill to sit there and win struggle 3. So it was just Anakin being Anakin. I mean, that's going to happen from time to time.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even mad. I always think, like, I know I'm obsessed with the story and the lore. Maybe more than the average player. I don't know. I think you play this game because you have a little bit of obsession with Star Wars. But
Yes.
uh, but I think it's pretty cool whenever it's like, all right, your primary goes in there, they do something awesome, or they use their best ability and it completely swings the game in your favor or outright wins you the game. Like, I can't be mad about Anakin beating me. Like that's how it should be, right? He's the chosen one.
Exactly. I mean, it was. I think. What did I come in and wound Grievous? I think for the win too. So it was like super flavorful of just Anakin
Yeah.
coming in and taking out Grievous to win the game. So I mean, I mean, and I think that's. In all honesty, I mean, if I know you haven't been on like watching all of this from day one, like I have, like as soon as the game was announced, I was in all in on it. But I mean, if you go back and watch some of the interviews of some of the early stuff with Will Pagani, he definitely, or I'm sorry, Will Schick, I should say, not Pagani. Will Schick, who's the one of the big promoters of the game, works for AMG. I mean, that's what he was going for. Was like for those moments where you're just, those cinematic moments in gameplay, and so that's exactly what he's going. They wanted. I mean, they know that not everyone's going to be a top tier competitive player in this game, and some people just want to sit there and have those cinematic moments of in gameplay, and that's exactly what we ended up having, which was really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then in our second game, which I gotta say, for the people keeping track, finally beat Todd with Vader and Maul doing as much damage as possible in the second game we played.
Yes.
Like I was even so again, first time playing with Vader. I had missed, especially in the first struggle, I was missing chances to use his the add extra dice, deal 2 damage,
Yeah.
and I was still beating down with them. I mean, my word, that I think that might be where I stay. I haven't quite decided on the exact team, but
Hmm.
playing an all melee list felt really fun. Felt good. You got to get up in everybody's face. deal a lot of damage, but that might just be Vader's really dumb.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, your hatred makes you powerful is just so amazing. Just or no, it's not that one. It's yeah, that's the one that adds the
uh,
dice. Yes, that's the one that adds the dice. So
yeah.
it's like, I mean, but it's just like he's just so good, and he makes it so that people can just do all sorts of get all the way down their tree, and so very consistently and very easily. That's just so good.
Well, and Vader's Fury
Right.
being a full advance,
Yes.
and you just toss a couple damage in there. If I remember right, one of my early rolls against you went really badly. Like I didn't get very far down his tree or anything, but hey, 2 damage just got thrown in there just because.
Yes.
So even when your dice fail you, Vader's like, I don't care about failing dice. I'm gonna deal damage anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, he's gonna hurt you no matter he's gonna hurt you no matter what, and that seems to be his the beauty of Vader. So yes, he's behind a paywall, but he's definitely worth the money when you if you're gonna go out and pick him up for sure. He's gonna be the you're gonna get your money's worth out of Vader for sure.
Yeah. The buying that box was fun. I enjoyed it. Putting it all together, doing the diorama.
Mm-hmm.
My stepson was very disappointed in me for buying it though, because I gave in. I gave in, and
Well,
you
he
know, it's fun.
Perrin's a little damn the man kind of guy, though. You know, he's like, no, he's all about he's all about, you know, he should be he was born he should have been born in like the punk rock UK scene for sure because he's just all against the establishment and everything like that. So, yeah, he's an old soul.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure yes, yes, he definitely would. He definitely would have enjoyed that whole environment. We'll
Yes.
see. What's funny is he clocks in as a paladin most of the time when he's playing D&D, lawful good, but his catchphrase is lawful good does not mean lawful nice. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So since we didn't play a lot of games, I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit more about some of the terrain and some of the other things that we're doing to just, make the game a little better.
More of
And
the hobby
so
side of
like,
things.
yeah. So I'm happy to report, Todd, finally listened to you. I went to one of our LGSs and picked up some washes and some contrasts and dropped about 50, $60 on some more paint so that I can start doing some more of that detail work. And everybody's really nice. I have to say, this community, like somebody from that was in our league, and I was at a completely different store from where we'd been playing our league. He
Hmm.
came up. He didn't even realize who I was at first, just started talking to me and offering to help me pick out paint and giving me tips and tricks. And then finally he's like, your face looks really familiar. I told him who I was, and he was like, oh, I do know you. So it wasn't even because he knew me. He
Nice.
just came up and started helping me. What's his name? Frankie? That's silly. I know his Discord name's Moonlighter.
Oh, Francis. Yeah,
But
I know. I play with Francis. Yeah,
Francis.
I play with Francis a lot. Actually expecting a little one any day now. So yeah, Francis is good people, man. I think I take that
Yeah.
back. I did play a game this week because Francis kicked my butt.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey, there you go. See, look at that.
I played Francis on Thursday, and he steamrolled me for sure. His Vader list was solid. So yeah, no, I did play against Francis.
Hey, there you go. So, and that was just really nice. I haven't cracked open any of the paints. Probably what I'm gonna do next time. But so like I brought on for today just to show people, and we'll see how we go. I went online to Ender Toys, and I think you have these same rocks painted,
Yes, I
and
do.
I got some more crates. They're a little bit smaller than the ones you get in the core box, but I mean it's just good for more coverage options. And then like I got these
Oh, nice.
little power generator stations. Like they belong in Star Wars. They look pretty cool. And I just saw on Etsy, probably gonna pick this up. Somebody made an extension for the gantries. The towers that we have
Yeah.
that are you're supposed to put bridges on them, but a lot of times you want to have them separate. You just put them out on the terrain. Well, somebody created this cool little extension that you can put on it, and because everybody's been complaining, right? Like you can't, if you just have that tower, no bridge, Grievous, the B2s, the B1s, they all can't. They literally cannot go up on those points if
Yeah.
they're there by themselves. And this somebody figured out a solution. So that's what I'm enjoying this week. I think I'm enjoying just kind of delving a little deeper into the hobby side of this game, and it's fun because this is my first one, right, Todd?
Yep.
So I'm getting to learn this all new, find all these different things, have people come out of the back of the shop just to tell me things.
Yep.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, this it's the especially like for in our community, like especially because I'm assuming you were at IO, one of our LGSs, because that's where Moonlighter is usually at. So it's really nice that our community is so there's so many people that are just like willing to come out and help you and like have conversations with you and just work with you and everything like that. So it's nice. Yeah, I mean, and to piggyback on that, I know you wanted me to say something about like what I do. So I know with the tokens, like especially now this is kind of an MCP thing, but in MCP, like the tokens that we have, we use so many different tokens for different things, and they're still the same like cardboard pop out, chipboard type of tokens that you have. So what I did is I have this stuff right here. Is called there it is. It's called Diamond Glaze. And what I do is you pour that on top. It's kind of like a Mod Podge for anyone who's ever really used it. And you pour that on top, let it dry, and it seals in. It's like an adhesive sealant that seals your tokens and kind of gives them like a nice hard clear coat on top of them and keeps them from fraying and everything like that because it's an adhesive sealant. So it kind of it's sticky and seals everything. So definitely, like if you're not going to buy the acrylics, you can pick this stuff up for I think like $10 for like I think I have a 10-ounce bottle that I've used on, and I have a like every 10 of every token at least for like the condition tokens in MCP, plus all of my other tokens for damage and energy and stuff like that. And I never run out of tokens, and I've used all of it, and I think I've used half this bottle. It's a 10-ounce bottle, and I think it's like what $15 instead of paying for all of it. So
Yeah, I got this economy size, which was 8 ounces, so a little bit smaller than
mhm.
yours. And I think it was like $15 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember, but 10, somewhere between 10 and 15, and
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was.
if you don't want to
I'm
spend the
gonna do
money,
the same thing.
yeah, and if you don't want to spend the money on the acrylics, buying all the acrylic stuff and everything like that, it's definitely a nice alternative to that. Where it's like instead of spending 50, 100, dollars on acrylics, you can do this, and it's gonna make your tokens last a little bit longer. So I know, like locally, our MCP community, every time people see them, they think it's one of the coolest things to see all the little tokens that I've done. So it works out definitely for sure. But yeah, so was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we jump into our main topic?
I think that's it. I will give a shout out, to IO staff too. They only had one employee in the building. I don't know why. 'Cause it seemed like it wasn't normal. I'm used to seeing two guys in there, and he was also very helpful.
Yep.
So he walked me around. He kind of had to be like, okay, there's some stuff in the back. You want to look at this, this, and this, and then he had to help a couple other people. But I just want to give a shout out to them because their customer service. Every time I call them, ask a question, go in there. Not that the other stores aren't great, but this is particular shout out because they gave me a lot of help.
Yeah,
So
Imperial Outpost
uh,
Games locally in the Phoenix area is a great store. That's one of the two stores that I play out most of my tournaments in, and that's actually where I played Francis at on Thursday. Or yeah, on Thursday night. They come in, we do a Thursday night meetup there. All right, so just jump into the topic. The main topic, at least for our podcast today, is talking about the Witches of Dathomir box and what it's going to be bringing to the game. Pretty exciting. We're not getting clones. We're not getting separatists. We're getting something new. I'm excited to see something that's different than the separatists and the clones that just building on that same archetype and giving us something unique to work with. What do you think?
oh yeah, definitely. That's what I'm excited about is that we're essentially getting a whole new faction. I mean, yes, we've had a couple of characters with the Dathomirian keyword on them, but now you can almost run a full Dathomirian squad, and I think that's what our next couple of boxes are going to be because we're getting those bounty hunters too. So it's nice to see that we're expanding what's possible. And also they look like they're gonna be pretty good. These do not look like some more clones for me to cry about. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. I mean, and especially like, I mean, just jumping into like Mother Talzin and what's so exciting about her. I mean, to give a brief breakdown, I mean, so basically she's 8 squad points, 3 force, primary unit, 10 stamina, 3 durability. So she's pretty on par for most primaries that we see out there as far as the stat lines are concerned. But she brings some really cool abilities to the game. I mean, the one that jumps out to me that I was like really seems unique and exciting is the manipulating hands ability, where basically for 2 force you choose an enemy character within range 4, and that's pretty decent range, and you can dash them, and you dash them, you move them wherever you want. What do you think about this one?
Oh, I think that this is going to be an ability that will decide struggles because you're going to be able to dash them in the worst possible way for your opponent. Basically, whenever you get to make your opponent's game actions, that's a thing that happens in Magic very sparingly, but whenever you play their turn or you declare their attacks or blocks or anything like that, it's always devastating, and so I expect that manipulating hand is going to be the same way. And range 4 is huge.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get Mother Talzin into the fight to use this ability. You can keep her hanging back and be like, "Cool, you're now off this point. I now control this point. I didn't even have to fight you, and now I win."
Yeah, no,
That's what I think the ceiling is on manipulating hand, which is outstanding.
yeah, I mean, it does have a high ceiling. I mean, the problem that I think I think we're going to run into probably a little bit is going to be the cost of it. It's toss 2 force. One of the nice things is it is on the tree. As far as an active ability does come up on the tree on one side of her stance card, 3 down. So I mean, it is a little ways down. So it's not always going to happen for free, depending on how bad the dice rolls go and everything like that, or how good your opponent's dice rolls go. So it's interesting to see. I mean, but outside of this being like the ability to use the ability for free, I mean, do you see people like being able to use this pretty consistently with its cost at 2 force?
I mean, I think this is gonna be where your other primary is going to be really important so that you have the force available. I think this means that you're probably not going to be taking Asajj with Mother Talzin very often because Asajj is so force hungry too. I think you're gonna be forced, and I know, twist your arm. You're gonna have to take Lord Maul. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sad about having to take Lord Maul and get all of his abilities for free. Oh, and dealing damage to him is good. Yeah, oh no. I'm so sad about this.
And that plays into kind of the next point that I wanted to bring up is if you're bringing Maul, what goes really good with Maul is this reactive ability that she has. It's called Life Drain. So basically, where she's able to, after an allied Dathomirian character makes an attack, if the defending character suffers 1 or more damage, they can just heal 1. So it's you're hurting Maul to use his abilities, but he makes an attack and there's no range on this at all, where she can just heal another Dathomir and can just heal for no force as long as she's not wounded or injured.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I first read Life Drain, I wasn't as excited about it because I was thinking about the times where like you don't deal damage or it felt to me like it's just another thing I have to keep track of with my attacks and when you're first using new units, that's kind of another it taxes your mental energy and focus. But then I remembered how important conditions are in this game, and the fact that whenever any of your Dathomirian characters deal some damage, you get to remove some conditions, and that just seems like it's gonna be really strong because sometimes you just don't you have to leave exposed on a character, you have to leave disarm on a character and just get through it, and well, maybe disarm's a bad example, but or pin, right?
Hmm.
And now you have the option of nope, I'm just gonna attack, try and get rid of this condition that's causing me problems, and then like in the case of pin, you're gonna have more options after the attack. So yeah, seems it gives you more options, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, options. More options are always good. I mean, more decisions to be made, more questions that need to be answered are always really good when it comes to like playing these games and everything like that, and being able to solve different, like having different solutions to different questions for sure. So, I definitely like it. I think it's going to be a very usable ability, especially since there's no force, at least on the front end, until she becomes wounded or injured or anything like that. But looking at like her last innate ability, basically her identity, the one of Wrath of the Great Mother. I don't know how sold I am on this one, where she can basically once per turn, when an enemy character becomes wounded or wounds another one of your allied, she can make a dash and then make a 5 dice ranged attack. It's I don't know how, if you want to be making putting her into like the greatest, like into positions to do this. I mean, it's the placement of her is going to be very important so that you can utilize this ability, because her range is only range 4. She doesn't have the range 5, so you're going to have her close enough to sit there and make her range 4 attack, but not close enough to where you're going to be putting her in danger of becoming wounded, and things along those lines, because you definitely want that life drain for free. So I think there's an interesting puzzle that goes along with this, with her identity.
And I have a feeling what probably happened, and again, I'm just guessing and what I know about game design. I have a feeling that probably both her range and maybe manipulating hand started out at range 5, and then they realized that was a little too good.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think this is what's her weakness, is that this isn't a character that you really want up in the fray really at all, but you gotta keep her within range 4 of what's going on for manipulating hand. You've gotta keep her within range 4 if you want to get off Wrath of the Great Mother. I think this is one of those where maybe you don't care as much about the 5 dice attack. Maybe it's just nice to be able to move her for free after, because if one of your allied units just got wounded, you might have a situation on your hands, and maybe this dash is the more important part. That's something I'm trying to learn with this game, is that I'm always trying to like do every possible action that I can every single time. But nah, maybe the dash is just good enough, and we're not going to be as worried about getting a free attack. I
Yeah,
know when I first started playing, I was all about I want to attack as much as I can, and now I'm like I want to move my guys as much as I can.
yeah. I mean, because
So
you're not removing like you're not going to win this game by tabling somebody. You're not going to sit there and remove all of the units from the board. It's just not going to happen. I mean, in most cases, you go through you might make it a full 2, rarely 3 times through your order deck. So when you're playing, so I mean, that just that alone means you're not really removing a lot of characters from the game, because they're not, unless you're one shotting every single character every single time. It's just not going to happen. So that's where it's I think there's a change in thought process of, okay, I'm not going to be killing everybody. I just need to sit there and play to the objectives and scoring the objectives, and winning that way. And I think that's, once people start getting past that idea, I think it helps them to sit there and realize the best ways to play the game and everything like that. Because yeah, you definitely, I'm gonna come in and slash everybody with my lightsaber. Well, no, that's not exactly how you win the game.
right, right, and that's where I think if you're planning on playing the Mother Thousand box, which I think is a good idea, this does feel a little more objective manipulation. This feels again a lot like the Inquisitors, although the Inquisitors are a little more aggressive than this box. But same, this feels like the same idea. You're going to be moving your characters around. You're going to be moving their characters off the point. You're going to be healing. You're removing your conditions. Like this all feels like it's going to be very controlling.
Yeah. No, I think they're going to be a good control piece. I mean, the manipulating hands definitely is a control side of it anyway. I mean, but overall, I mean, like I said, I do like her. I think the Wrath of the Great Mother, like you said, I don't know if you're going to always be taking advantage of that 5 dice attack, but definitely the dash is going to be useful because anytime out of activation movement, just like I said, it's kind of the chef's kiss of this game is being able to move things when it's not really their turn to move. So definitely a good way to go. Looking overall though at like her two stance cards, I find it kind of interesting what she has on her stance card. So she has like the wrath side of it, and that's I like it because you can get the free manipulating hands out of it. But like her defensive dice aren't the greatest for a primary there with only 5 and 6 defensive dice. It's not the greatest. So like she seems again it's one of those where you kind of have to play defense with her and but at the same time keeping her in a safe range. I mean there's not on this side. I mean this is the best damage side that she has and there's really not. I think this is the best damage side if I remember correctly. But it's still even so she's only getting what 6 at the most. Yeah, 6 damage at the most coming out of this side. Oh no, it is the other side. It's the Great Mother side that has better damage on this one. But but yeah, like only 6 damage at the most coming out of this side. So she's not definitely not one shotting somebody. I mean, she's definitely more of a control piece, and just. But it does. She does put a lot. She can potentially put a lot of conditions on this side. With she has disarm, she has strain, and she has expose if you go all the way down her chart.
Yeah, I feel like the Wrath side is going to be where you're at when you really, really need to use a manipulating hand because
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to maximize the number of times that you're going to get the opportunity. But I mean, she does do on her other side, like sometimes you really do just need to beat down, and she does 10 damage on the Great Mother side. So I think this is more of a and I know we keep bringing this up, but on these newer characters, it feels like you're really, or prime primary specifically, you're really having to manage what side am I on? What side am I on? Like same with the we talked about Mace. You're really gonna want to pay attention. All
Mm-hmm.
right, before I end my turn or before I attack, what side do I really want to be on? What's most important to me? Do I need the damage? Or do I need to do manipulating hand? So it's just going to be with this box you are asking to think about this choice repeatedly throughout the game, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're used to playing some of the core box characters, most primaries you pretty much set them on one side, leave them alone until they get hurt, and then maybe you flip them. You know,
Yeah.
whereas Great Mother, nah, you better be thinking like even before you do anything, you're gonna be like, all right, what side is she on? What side do I need her to be on? What side does she need to be on at the end of this turn? So,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean the great.
not that that's bad.
No, it's not bad. I mean, the good decisions that need to be made. I mean, like you said, the Great Mother side, she has more dice at range. She has more dice at range defense. It's definitely not going to want to be on melee. She's putting more damage out. A lot more displacement on this side too, with the three potential shoves and probably a reposition as well. So really interesting conundrum, I guess, for which side of the cards you're going to want to be on and everything like that. So I like Mother Talzin, but she's definitely brings a lot of questions into when it comes to gameplay. Some unique questions that we don't think we've seen at this point in time.
Right. I think if you liked playing Luminara, you will like playing Mother Talzin because Luminara was a lot of I'm gonna think about my turn, I'm gonna look at my top card, who got wounded, what do I want to do. It reminds me a little bit of Luminara. I haven't played with Mother Talzin at all, but yeah, I feel like if you like that kind of game, you're gonna like her.
Nice, yeah. I think I'm right there with you. I think there's very a lot of similarities there for her. So let's jump into the secondary though, because this is one of my favorite characters, and that's Savage Opress. I ever since I saw him in Clone Wars, I was just like, this dude's awesome. He's just pure rage, just ready to go and attack somebody. So it's like, I really like him, and I like his character in general. I mean, and I think he's a unique character for sure for this game. He has no reactive abilities at all, which is just really unique in itself because it's just he's. I mean, I guess that kind of plays into who he is as a character. He's like he doesn't care what happens. He's just gonna go and do. So it's I like that. I like that about him. What do you think?
Hmm. Oh no, this one feels Well, I feel like overall the game has done a great job of capturing the flavor of the characters. But yeah, he wants to get in there, he wants to fight, and he doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah,
That's like, and I love that. Like the closest thing that he has to what I'd say a reactive ability is just the unwitting brute, where he can, when somebody else starts their activation within three of him, he can move forward.
yeah,
So even what's almost a reaction is just him getting into the fight.
yeah, yeah,
Like, oh, he does one thing only, and that's all right.
yeah. He just
So
reacts without
it's
thinking.
yeah. And you know what? This also could just be genius level design, like big brain moment. You have to spend a lot of mental energy thinking about Mother Talzin, and then when you get to Savage, who's the closest character you're beating on? Because that's all you need. That's the only decision you have to make.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do like him. He's a 4 squad points, 10 stamina, 2 durability, so he's pretty beefy as far as that's concerned. Um, not, I mean, and we'll get to it, but his defensive dice are not the greatest. But again, I think that's kind of flavorful for him. He really he took a beating like in the show. I mean, he wasn't very durable, but he was durable. Like he could take a beating and still be alive, but he took a beating still. Like he got his butt handed to him on a pretty consistent basis because he just
Yeah.
wasn't strong enough.
Well, and remember, he does have the other ability, Pain is Weakness. He has Protection and Steadfast, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm actually one of the things I'm excited about him is until I think until now, and I might be misremembering, but usually characters that have this Protection and Steadfast combination tend to have lower durability, and
Yeah,
no, he's got 10 durability and innate Protection and Steadfast.
yeah.
Like I think that's going to make up for not a lot, but it's going to help a little bit with the fact that his defense dice is so low.
Yeah, no, having the 10 stamina definitely helps out with that. So with the protection, definitely adds to that and everything like that. So I mean, it's like I said, he's got some really unique innate abilities. I mean, and to touch on the last one, he's got that overpowering monster, which basically, whenever he attacks a primary, he just gets 2 extra dice, and you don't even have to do anything for it. It's just he just gets it. So it's just who he is, man. He jumps in there, he goes head first into the fight, and he doesn't care who he's attacking. He wants to go after the big guys and prove who he is.
Yep. Yep, that's right. And I mean, if you just look at we're kind of doing his abilities in reverse order, but
Yeah, it's
that's
fine.
okay. That's where we're at. So he doesn't care about being hurt because his Furious Rush, if he's injured, he gets to do a full advance
Mhm.
instead of a dash, which I think is awesome. Because basically, you hurt this guy, you knock him down, and he comes back at you.
Yeah,
Like that's such a flavor win. And so again, you're not even gonna care at least about that first injured token because it just makes him better.
yeah,
So hurt him. Go for it. That's actually one of the things I really like about both him and Maul, that they get in your face and you kind of, as the opponent, I mean, and you kind of want to avoid them, but it is hard
yeah,
because they can move.
yeah. No, I mean, like when you're like going back to like his overpowering monster, it's like if he's going after a primary, he's basically rolling 9 dice. I mean, so and that's a lot of dice that he's going to be rolling as a secondary
And
anyway.
he's a secondary,
Yeah.
and he can roll more dice than Anakin in the right situation.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, we are overpowering, that's for sure.
Yep. And then also his Dark Fury ability. I mean, granted that's 2 force, but so both of his active abilities are starting out costing force. And his Furious Rush, the one thing is if he is injured, that's going to cost an additional force. So like you're looking at 2 force for that ability to have your full movement, the full advance instead of a dash. So it does get a little pricey, I guess, on that one. But the Dark Fury, I mean, basically just doing another 5 dice attack or rolling 5 attack dice and then suffering damage for crits and hits. If it's a force user, they also get exposed. So it's interesting where you could, if you want to spend the force for it, roll these, spend the 2 force, roll the dice, if it's a force user and they suffer any damage, they get an expose. And now I'm going to do my 9 dice attack on this primary, who now I've already given expose to. It's an interesting synergy within his own kit.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say I do think that Dark Fury is going to be more of a situational ability than we think. I don't know if you're going to want to spend 2 force on it all of the time, but if you're going up against a force user, I think you're going to want to use it almost every time when you're specifically facing down a force user, just because that giving that expose before attacking. Oh yes, yes. I think we've established by now, but I will say it every single episode. Exposed is the best condition in the game from my point of view, and getting every time you get to do it before you attack is gonna be great. And spoilers, we've got 2 units that do this in this
Right.
in this squad.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And if you pair him with Maul, the number of times Maul has ruined my day by pulling me off a point and then exposing my guy and then doing a how many dice did he roll? Like 12 dice? No, please no.
Yeah.
So I love that the Dathomirians seem to have this exposed theme, which kind of makes sense because their force magics work a little bit different from any other faction in the game. So I like it. If that's their thing, well, hey, let's lean into it.
Definitely, definitely, and like looking at his stance tree, or his stance card, and looking at his tree. I mean, it doesn't go that far down. He's only got like 5 steps, 5 tiles down on his stance card, but he's doing a fair amount of damage. You know, he's doing 8 damage if you go on the full damage side. Plus, you can do if you get all the way to the end, then he has his active ability for free. So he's got an interesting card. And then on top of it, depending on the expertise, you can, as if you get even just 1 expertise, you're adding an additional damage. So he pretty much can take out just about any secondary in the game. Not necessarily any primary, but he can definitely put a good hurting on him. I mean, but if you couple that with doing a couple pieces of, like, maybe doing 2 damage with Dark Fury, and then going full all the way down his tree, and potentially getting that 1 expertise to do 9, you can pretty much one-shotting any primary in the game minus Vader. So I mean, I think he can hit pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, he can get there. The only complaint I have about his stance card is both of his both of his abilities that you would use when you get, all 5 successes. I feel like they're abilities that you're more likely to want to use before attacking, because a lot of times we are moving in generally using because we're trying to save an action. So you're moving in with his force ability and then using Dark Rage to try and get exposed. But you're not always going to go all 5, so it doesn't matter. And if you're not facing off against the Force user, then when you use Dark Rage doesn't matter. So it's probably not as bad. I'm already talking myself back out of it, but it just bugs me when he only has abilities that feel like you want to use them before combat, and then you give him a free one on his tree. When there's other characters that I would kill to have the free activation on their stance card, and they don't even have one. But that's a minor nitpick.
Maybe. I mean, like, one of the things is I could see Furious Rush being used after an attack is done very easily. So I see it almost like a good way to secure a objective that's farthest away from you, like on your side, like if you're my opponent. So I attack you at the midline, and I'm already wounded or injured already, and then I can make a full advance to get within range of a rear objective that's going to sit and potentially score that or contest it in some way. So I don't know. I think there are times that I think that is going to have a use post attack.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, again, sometimes this is the last card that you pull from your deck. You've already used up all your force on Mother Talzin and some of your other characters. So I mean, there's definitely going to be scenarios where, yeah, there's going to be that moment where you're like, okay, I have no force, I need to move him, or I need to Dark Rush to wound someone. let's roll our dice and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was the tiniest of nitpicks, but no, this guy's great.
Yeah.
Great design overall. Like he feels like you're playing this character.
Yeah, no, I definitely like him. I mean, so overall, I mean, who do you think you would be pairing him with as far as a primary? I mean, for me, I so want to put him with Maul just for the flavor of the brothers fighting together again. I don't know if that's necessarily the best option. I think you really kind of want to have him with Mother Talzin, but flavor wise, I so want to have him with Maul.
Yeah, I mean, so if we look back at Mother Talzin, she does have that ability. I'm trying to remember the name of it, right? Uh,
You're
oh
talking
no,
about
it's
her?
not. No obscuring shadows. It doesn't have a range on it.
No.
So yeah, so I don't think you necessarily need to pair him with Mother Talzin. I mean, obviously that squad would need some sort of melee character in it because when we get to the next group, again, I feel like the next unit we're going to talk about, it definitely feels like they're another one that doesn't really want to get too up in the action.
Hmm.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. Whatever you do. I am all in favor of the flavor squads. So put Maul and Savage together. That's fine. But I just remember that whoever you pair with Great Mother, you're probably going to want somebody to do some melee in that slot if you're going to do that. But hey, if you're bringing both squads, they're still on the same team, Todd. It's okay.
Yep.
Maul and Savage are still working together.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the last ones here, and that's of course going to be the Night Sister Acolytes. So they're going to be that supporting unit that comes in the box. There's going to be two models for it. Again, they're going to cost 4 squad points. They only have 7 stamina and 2 durability, so they're pretty like as far as primary or as supporting units go, pretty on the low side, just with that 7 stamina. But they do have some pretty cool abilities for sure that are definitely worth addressing. To start off with, they do have that acrobatic advance, which for a force basically they can do a jump, and if any character does jump when they use this ability, they also gain a hunker token. So I think that's pretty cool that they get a jump and a hunker token for a force.
Todd, can we talk for a minute?
Yes.
Do they have to make my clones feel bad every time a new box gets released? Because why is this better than defensive maneuver? Why do they get to jump? That like I want my clones to be able to jump. They've got the grappling hook guns. Fine, whatever, whatever. Now, all kidding aside, now this is great. It's jump. That's actually one of the things that I think is going to be more and more important, and kind of why I was talking a little bit more about our terrain today. Is I think as more and more people get more and more terrain and build out our battlefield, this jump is going to be more and more important. I remember there was during one of our games, I was really upset because I wanted to use Vader, but I needed him to be on a higher elevation. I'm trying to remember right, but he doesn't actually have a jump except I think on one of his stances, and so I had to make a suboptimal movement with him and do something else just because it wasn't easy to get him on higher elevation. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's great. Now just give the clones some more guns or something. I don't
Yeah, being able to jump is definitely we're learning that that's much more important like as the game goes on and as we add elevations like having multiple levels of elevation. Like there's I saw a board on Facebook earlier today where someone had like 4 different levels of elevation, from top to bottom, which is really cool, but that definitely takes into the whole idea of being able to jump being very important because you need being able to do that. So definitely like this ability. I think, and like I said, the hunker token just icing on the cake to add on to that on top of just being able to do a jump. So I like that, but like you were alluding to before, they have coordinated fire just like your clones, but their coordinated fire gives exposed.
Hey, the ARF troopers are getting it too. The ARF troopers are getting it too. But yeah, even their coordinated fire is now just straight up better than most of the other clones coordinated fire. I'm like, what is this, Night Sisters? Anything you can do, I can do better.
Pretty much, pretty much. They're all about, hey, this is what I do better than you do. I mean, and it's the typical coordinated fire, so range five, but range five being able to give exposed, and as long as it's not, they're not wounded or injured, then they're doing it for free. So it's nice. I love
And
it.
it's before dice are rolled,
Yes,
which is the same with all the other coordinated fires. Before expose is so important.
yes, yeah. Just I'm gonna put exposed on you. Oh, now you can roll your dice, but oh yeah, you can't use your expertise chart. Sorry, but not sorry.
Uh, uh, it's yeah. Every time that happens, if I'm playing clones, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah, but it definitely.
I'll, I'll, I'll just do it back with the ARF troopers. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. But yeah, so I mean, but looking at, so that was their active and reactive abilities, and then they also have two innate abilities. The one being darkness and shadows. So it's like this one's kind of cool because I think it again synergizes really well with the acrobatic advance. So when they have one or more hunker tokens, they add a dice to their defensive rolls against ranged attacks. So it's basically you can use acrobatic advance, and now on top of the normal dice that you get for your hunker tokens and cover and everything like that, you're just getting another defensive dice on top of it. So it gives them a little bit more durability as it is, because if they're already rolling five dice on their on range anyway, and now if you have a hunker token, you're in cover, you get this. It's like you're potentially rolling eight defensive dice with these girls.
Yeah, you want to get these ladies up on one of those tower pieces, have an objective up there, get them up there now, because one of the ways that I've seen people like manage that situation is with shoves by
Mm-hmm.
just attacking from range and then shoving the character off of that tower piece, which is important when you have like the big base guys that can't get up there. And this ability that you probably used acrobatic advance to get up there, so you're gonna have a hunker token. This ability is gonna make it much harder to push them back off the point. So it feels like they're pretty cool. I actually, weirdly enough, this supporting unit is kind of why I want to try this box out. I know it sounds weird. I know you're excited about Savage and Mother Talzin's cool, but for a supporting unit, these feel really strong.
Yeah.
Like I mean specifically like sadly, I think they pretty much only fit like you're gonna want to run as many Dathomirians as you can, but like they're pretty cool for a supporting unit.
Definitely are. Definitely are. I mean, and it's, I mean, going back to that, what you were just saying with the Dathomirians, it's like that kind of plays into their last ability of that Night Hunter, where if they're making a ranged attack, they can add two dice if the character that they're attacking is engaged with another Dathomirian. So you to take full advantage of both of their both of this innate ability, you really want to have some Dathomirians. The problem is like who are you going to be running this? I mean, in order to have a Dathomirian that they're engaged with, it's really either going to be Savage, Maul, or Asajj. Is like because those are the ones that are really going to be wanting to be engaged anyway. You don't want Mother Talzin, so it's there's and but you do want to run Mother Talzin with them anyway because of that's her ability. So you're really limited on the Dathomirians that you can run that actually make this ability worthwhile.
Yeah, I think Night Hunter is another one of those situational ones. It's gonna come up and it's going to be good if you're activating this supporting unit, say after Savage or Maul have run across the table, gotten into some fights, done some damage, and then now you've got the Night Sister acolytes coming up after. This is gonna be one of these teams where you're manipulating who's going when sort of situation. Like you're probably going to be spending a little more force than normal on like, okay, I pulled these early. No, I want to reserve them. I need Maul and Asajj to go before them, and then they come in after. And I mean, you're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But Night Hunter, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen as often as you think because if it is happening, then maybe your Dathomirians have been getting engaged when they shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
So, And they can't be all good, okay? The clones need a little bit of love, Todd.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. No, and you could even see, like you said, they're not the greatest. I mean, they are supporting units, so they're not going to be all that great. They're looking at their stance card. Even it's not the greatest stance card. I mean, they have some conditions on there. They have, and they do have a little bit of displacement with one shove, and they also have another jump on there, but they're only doing like a total of 7 damage at best on there, if they're at range, and that's really where you want to have them. They're only rolling 6 dice at range. They do have range 5, which is pretty solid, but they're just they're okay. Their abilities are strong, but their cards okay.
Right. I mean, this is a supporting unit. It can't be all upside.
Nope.
I'm just thinking that the ability side is very strong. When
Yes.
you look at the stance card, yeah, okay, they're a supporting unit. You're not one-shotting anybody with these two. Although, I mean, you have so many chances to expose. Like they have an expose condition on their stance tree as well. I
Yes.
mean, you could probably start to rack up some damage if like you attack with one and then attack the same unit with another one, because you get two attacks off your supporting characters. So or supporting unit when because there's two models.
Yep.
So I mean, they might surprise you. We'll
Potentially.
see. We'll see.
Potentially. I mean, so basically looking at it, I mean, since that Night Hunter is not always going to come up, I mean, and that's really the coordinated fire is important. But do you see these guys, these girls, I guess, fitting in anywhere besides with Dathomirians? I mean, do they have a home somewhere else? You think?
No, I don't think so. This is you're only playing these if you're interested in the rest of what the Dathomirians bring to the table, because you're just gonna have better options within the other factions. Like this is not a good stuff supporting unit where you're just happy to have them. Like a lot of times I think of the Mandos that way. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Mandos, you could kind of slot the Mandos, or if you're in a melee focus, the Magna Guards, like they're just kind of like the good stuff supporting units. The Acolytes are not a good stuff supporting unit. You're running them in a Dathomirian squad, and that's it. Because look at it, you lose the coordinated fire, you lose the Night Hunter, then you just have a slightly better 501st if you're not running them with the Dathomirians. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not what you want. I will say though, interesting tag that keeps popping up. They're Dathomirian and Night Sister, which I expected, but they also have the Trooper tag,
Yeah.
keyword. So I'm curious if we're going to see some support. I know they're future proofing and maybe they haven't figured all this out and they're just throwing keywords out. I'm looking at you, Vader. Uh, just to have the most options possible. But I'm kind of excited. I want to see if we get like a trooper tag, or trooper matters card in the future. If that happens, then maybe we revisit this. But I still don't think so. I think you're playing Dathomirians if you're playing them. What do you think, Todd?
No, I think that's about the same. I mean, looking at like who outside of this squad, like if you were to put, because you don't have a lot of, you're not going to have two Dathomirian squads. I mean, you might be able to have two Dathomirian primaries, but you're really not going to have two Dathomirian squads. I mean, and one of the interesting things that I saw, or talking with another person over at Imperial Outpost, at our the LGS, there's another person that goes there, and his name's Chris, and he's actually going to pair them with an Inquisitor squad, which I thought was interesting. So you have your ranged with this squad, and then the melee of your Inquisitors. So it's like I found that one interesting. I don't know, like again, you're by not having Maul or Asajj, you're taking away some of this Dathomirian synergies, but you're adding in that frontline attacking, get in your face stuff, and being able to keep Talzin and the acolytes back and shooting at range, and not being the focus of all of the attacks and everything.
Yeah, and I see that. I think we're reaching a point where we're finally and maybe I'm the only one with this problem. we're moving away from the, oh, I want my whole team to be thematic and together, and by team I mean both your squads.
Hmm.
And we're reaching this point where one squad is internally consistent with itself and the other squad is internally consistent with itself, but I have them performing two different roles. And so I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I don't have the experience yet because I'm still a little behind because I played clones so much. I've just barely even played with some of my other toys. So I'm still working on getting some experience with the droids, with the Inquisitors, etc. But eventually I think we're gonna see that where you have one team focused on, this is going to be my beat 'em up team and this is going to be my controlling team. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I think it's worth trying.
I think it's going to have to though, because especially when you look at like the premier events where you're going to be bringing four squads. I mean, unless you're playing clones, you're really not going to have four that synergize completely perfectly with one another. So I think there's going to have to be where you're looking at more along the lines of, okay, primarily I want to play these two squads. At least this is the way that I'm approaching it. Is like, okay, I want to play these two squads, but I have squad three for when I'm playing against this particular archetype, and I know that this squad is weak to that, and then I have squad four for this other archetype that I might be playing against. So I think that's kind of where we have to like start looking at now that we're getting enough squads, because I know at least our LGSs they've only been doing the two squad events, but they're going to start moving towards those premier level events now, where it's going to be the four squads. So I think, that's going to be definitely a conversation that locally we're going to have to start looking at is what are we going to be bringing in, and how are we going to be building the entire strike for, or the entire package that we're bringing to our events and everything.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there also some rule where you have to use, and either maybe this is an event rule and it's not in the actual rules for the events, but don't you have to use all four squads too? You can't just like bring four but only use two the entire time.
That's I'm understanding that that's going to be the way that it's read. I'd have to pull that back up again myself, but also I mean, it's are all the stores going to be following that when they do that? Yeah, I mean, when they run the events, I don't. Looking at like some of our LGSs, it's like, are they going to be going down with a check mark and making sure? I mean, granted, when we report, we're going to have to report the squad, so we have like in Longshanks and stuff like that. So you're going to have that information. So it's entirely possible. Let's see. I'm just looking at.
Yeah, I went and did the thing you're not supposed to do, Todd, in a podcast, and ask you a question that you weren't prepared for. So now you gotta go looking for it. Let's see. I'm bringing it up. Let's
Yes, you are
see.
correct.
Do,
So
do,
you can
do.
not escape your destiny is one of the things in the premiere, where it says during a premiere event, players must choose each of their squads to be included in the strike team during at least one round of the event. So yes, you have to. You're going to have to play at least once of one of every squad. So you're going to want to make sure that how these are going to be squads. You're going to want to bring every squad that you're going to want to play. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to throw these in, but I'm really only going to play these two. So you really have to look at, okay, I want to like I was looking at, like, this is my core squad that I'm going to be bringing is squad 1, and then squads 2, 3 and 4 kind of support these ones in a different way type of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, and so especially once we start playing in events where that's part of the consideration, I think we're gonna see this more and more where they're wanting to focus on a particular strategy, and then they're going to have different toolboxy things that they're gonna bring in to support it, and that's probably I mean they're making it such a focal point by putting it in the rules. I got to assume that's part of the intention of the game designers. So
Yeah.
we probably shouldn't be as worried as we have been, or again, maybe only me, about making sure both squads are synergistic with each other. Especially when you think about the fact that a lot of times when you do activations, they do tend to, your one squad moves up this side of the board, this squad moves up that side of the board. it's only till much later in the struggle that it starts to get messy out there in the middle. So, I mean, yeah, I think I've convinced myself again, Todd.
I'm glad we can have these conversations and we can, do this exercise with one another. It helps.
Yeah, yes, yes. But yeah, back to the Night Sisters. Yeah, I think I could see. I don't know. I still think you at least want Maul. Well, but here's the thing with Maul, you could still just play Maul and Inquisitors and still have that same idea.
Yeah.
You don't have to play Grand Inquisitor or Vader. In fact, I don't think that, like, I've been waiting to see somewhere where Vader is not just an auto include. And I think if you're running Savage, Mother Talzin, and the Acolytes, I don't think you really want to bring Vader with this group, because they don't really want to get up there and do a lot of melee. You want to keep them back.
How dare you? How
But
dare
but
you
you know,
say that?
Vader. I mean, I could be wrong. Vader could just want to do Vader things, and it doesn't matter. Let Vader let Vader go with the other Inquisitors and beat on everyone. Maybe he's so good that even when he's not good, he's good.
Exactly. That's probably where we're at. But who knows? No, I'm with you. I don't think you don't always want to bring Vader, and I don't. These guys are not gonna play in. They have nothing to do with his game plan. So bringing Vader with as a opposing primary to this particular squad, I don't think is the exact right way to go. But everyone's gonna try what they're gonna try. But yeah, I think this kind of
Oh
wraps up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think this kind of wraps up everything that we kind of wanted to talk about. Do you have any closing thoughts about the Night Sisters or just this box in general?
Yeah, yeah. No, this is wait a minute. I think you cut out a little bit there. What
Oh,
was that,
sorry.
Todd?
So I was like saying, did overall, I mean, do you think there's any? Do you have any closing thoughts as far as what this box is bringing to this stage?
I just like that it gives us more options, and you're gonna see different strategies, different units across the side of the table. Not that I'm getting tired of playing against the same units, but I just like that you're not gonna be like, okay, are they playing clones? Are they playing Mandos? Are they playing Inquisitors? Or are they playing droids?
Yeah.
Like that's it right now. And now we get cool. Dathomirians, another option. Get to see, and I just think they're going to be cool. In fact, after talking to you, I'm a lot more excited about them than I was at the beginning. Not gonna lie, I'm still on the clone side. I want to pick up my mace box right away, but these look like they're going to be pretty cool too.
I think they're going to be fun. But yeah, no, super excited for this box to come out. But yeah, I think that finishes up everything that we wanted to talk about today. As always, I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in and listening to what we have to say. And as always, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.